so nice.
Australian government, Americans, and English in France.
The oven,
Yeah, so you need special this.
Wow.
How about that?
I see, the place is good.
That's a big picture.
Wow. For in my language, and then I will start by asking you questions, just in a language that you.
Shall I get you a glass of tea as well?
Oh, it's okay. I don't do cold tea. We normally do warm tea.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's just fine. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Hello everyone, hope mko poa na mimi niko poa. Kama mnaona leo niko na mzee hapa, na kama vile niliwaambia video ya kwanza tuliwaonesha nyumba yake, na sasa hii tunakuja sasa kuongea na mzee tuweze kupata pia hekima ya uzee siku ya leo. So I was introducing the video in Swahili.
Yeah.
And
okay.
People want to know more about you.
Oh.
And
of course they should come over and visit sometimes.
They should come over and visit.
They come, if they like flying.
And also, and I had some questions that people asked, and the questions are for you, not for me.
Okay.
So maybe I just look for the questions so that you can answer quickly before we proceed. Okay. The first question, the questions are in Swahili. Mm-hmm. I will be reading and then I translate and then you answer.
Okay.
Huyu anasema ambia mzee atafute toto ndogo huku Afrika. Someone so know that you live alone here, and he said, why don't you look for a wife? So that could be a dad one, and an African wife.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I've already had two wives. Of course, my first wife died. She smoked too much.
Mm-hmm.
Lung cancer, and after that also I met another lady, and again I had two children with both of these women. Mm-hmm. And of course my life has to go on, and I was born in Europe, in the Netherlands, which is in French Pays-Bas, the land of lower lands. Mm-hmm. And I migrated from Holland or the Netherlands to Canada in 1966. Mm-hmm. That's where I went as a young man. That is now almost 60 years ago. Mm-hmm. So my life started basically in Montreal in Canada, working at a university where I had some training prior to my life in Australia with my parents, who had migrated after the Second World War to Australia for safety reasons. I was their oldest son. But anyway, Canada was my favorite country, so I came to Canada in 1966, and from there on, after Montreal was Toronto, and after that it was Vancouver, where I went to different universities and studied and also practice making certain appliances and craftings and items that were used for bone transplants and brain transplants and things like that during the years that I was working at the universities. It was not just, it was everything to do with the human head, but it was not just that, because a lot of accidents in Canada occurred through sports, especially their favorite game, hockey. A lot of people get damage done to their face, so technical help was always needed. It was not just the loss of teeth that people had, that was minor. Artificial dentures and teeth work was done by dentists very well, and I was trained in that part as well. But unfortunately, I went for a more interesting part, which was more the exterior look of persons, to correct their bone position and to correct their damage that was done to their faces. And sometimes there was no damage done, so babies were born without or with a great handicap, because their face was quite often very distorted. Very often it happened that babies were born that their nose and mouth were almost in one position at the same time. Mm-hmm. And of course I was involved in making the flesh grow in the right direction again, because they didn't even have teeth in those days yet. So of course that was coming in much later. You know, and so sort of bone construction in their palate and so on had to be done as well. But that is all good and well to talk about, but the technique that changes overnight. And I'm now 84 years of age, and of course I've retired for quite some time from all these activities. It is only my memories that's still there. Mm-hmm. And I work with some very famous doctors. Yeah. That of course they employed me basically for the artistic help in many ways. Mm-hmm. So one thing remains with me is that I'm involved in art, and I returned to Canada from Australia because my first wife wanted to return to Australia in 1988. Mm-hmm. And I worked there, and that's where I met my second wife as well. So, okay. And my children, 2 children were born in Canada, and 2 were born in Australia.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's in short my life story. I have, I'm the oldest of 7 children. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, some of my brothers have died, but of course that happens if you're the oldest of the family, that happens. You see who passes away below you, and that is quite kind of sad. Mm. I have my brother that was born after me. I probably have very fond memories as a child. We used to live nearby a large castle, and my parents occupied that right after the second, or even before the Second World War. My father was familiar with that area, so he met up with the Baron and actually managed to occupy the castle over many years after the Second World War, because the Baron was married to, had Jewish relatives and was married to a Jewish lady, and of course she needed to go back to America from the time that I was, well, I suppose returned to Australia from Europe, mm-hmm. because my parents were there at that time. They had migrated to Australia, mm-hmm. and so were some of my brothers and sisters. You know, so this